I saw dudes. It is your boy Bulletproof Catsby back at it once again, and we are here today to talk about all the movies in 2021. Is it a little late to talk about like a year in review? I mean, we're literally in October of 2022. Is it really late to be talking about all the movies in 2021? Yes, it is, absolutely. But this is something that I've been wanting to do. I've been meaning to talk about the Suicide Squad and Mortal Kombat Battle of the Realms. It's something I said I was going to do before I stopped doing YouTube. So I like to be a man of my word, but unfortunately, this will be like the fourth or fifth time I've recorded this. We've had a problem every single time we've done it. And you know what? We're going to do it this time. We're not going to worry about editing. We're just going to send it as is. You know, we're going to keep that in there. There's going to be a couple uhs and buts and ands and maybe some long pauses. But you know what? We're just going to send it nevertheless. I'm really excited to be doing this, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's just not stand on ceremony here, and let's just get right into the list. So first off is the Suicide Squad. Now, the Suicide Squad, while I do think it is better and a lot funnier than the first Suicide Squad movie, I still kind of have my problems with it. The best thing about this movie is the characters. Oh my gosh, the characters are great in this movie. You have, I believe it's King Shark by Sly Stallone. He's great. I loved him. Ratcatcher 2.0. The fact that she's sleeping, like basically like half the movie she's asleep. I love that. She is my spirit animal. No pun intended. Oh, that's bad. You got the Polka Dot Man, which is, oh gosh, what's his name? A DC veteran at this point, David Dastmalchian, I believe it's pronounced. He's great as the Polka Dot Man. All the stuff he's going through with his mother, it's great. I had an absolute blast with a lot of the characters. Now, Deadshot, not Deadshot, 100% not Deadshot. Bloodsport. Bloodsport was good. Peacemaker, John Cena. John Cena is, I mean, I haven't watched the Peacemaker show, but John Cena is a very underrated comedic actor, I think. I think his timing's fucking great. We're gonna try not to delve too much into spoilers on this, but all I can say is because it happens right at the beginning, they make some decisions right off the bat, and I guess it kind of makes it think that, oh, you never know who's gonna die. Now, one person dies after the initial killing spree. You know what I mean? So, I mean, come on. Actually, two people die. We are going to get into spoilers. Rick Flag dies. Holy shit. They actually made me really sad that Rick Flag died. I was really upset by that. One thing, though, is this is called the Suicide Squad. This should have been Harley Quinn, too. Harley Quinn is probably the most prominent character in this movie, I'd say. And it's great. It's absolutely great. Some of the stuff that she does in this movie, especially with the acrobatic stuff where she unlocks herself, that's really fucking cool. Some of the art direction, some of the art style that they do when she has her like massacre scene, that's great. I loved that part. One thing I do think is a little upsetting though is they totally killed John Cena and they just like, oh no, he's not dead. He survived. Like what? 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 Anyway, beyond that, it was definitely an entertaining movie. Was it a great movie? No, but it did have really cool special effects, really good characters, and one thing that I gotta give it especially is the transitions from one scene to another, giving us not title cards, but like location cards or whatever. I thought that was very creative. It's a very creative movie, and that's what makes me love this movie the most. So, that was pretty good. So moving on to Mortal Kombat Battle of the Realms. I don't know. Let me take a quick scan of this list. I don't know if there's another movie I'm going to shit on more than Mortal Kombat Battle of the Realms. I tell you what, half of this movie I thought was really good. And the other half, I'm like, why are we doing this? Why is this all one movie? It did not make sense to me why they shoved so much stuff into one movie. Now, of course, if you're a Mortal Kombat fan and you're going in there for a bloody good time, there's plenty of blood, plenty of guts, plenty of gore. If you want your hard R Mortal Kombat movie, you're definitely going to get it. One thing I do think is weird, though, is some of the decisions they make when it comes to the editing, and like right at the very beginning, they do the X-ray. You know, like if you played the Mortal Kombat games, you know they do X-rays now where it kind of goes slow-mo and you see their bones break or whatever. They do it like 5 to 10 times in the opening scene and never do it again. And it's kind of baffling to me why they do that. So not only from there, you go and towards the later scenes when you see people getting beat up, you see good guys losing. There's like way too many reaction shots of like all the characters like, no, no. It happens a lot, and I find that a little silly, you know? But hey, whatever. The biggest problem I have, we are going to spoil the fuck out of this movie. The biggest problem I have with this is you have a good Mortal Kombat 2 movie that takes place in the realm of Mortal Kombat 2, right? So, like canon-wise or whatever, you know, it takes place during the second game. So you have that movie, and it should be over, and then it keeps going. It keeps going. So the whole point is they have Mortal Kombat 2 going on, and they have a subplot with Scorpion and Sub-Zero, because you got to have Daddy Scorpion and Daddy Sub-Zero. So their whole thing is they're talking about the One Being. Now, thinking about the One Being, I'm thinking, okay, so like Onaga's going to show up or something? Excuse me. That Onaga's going to show up at one point or something? I don't know. The One Being, they actually summon the One Being. Now, the whole point of the Mortal Kombat Legends storylines, 1 and 2, is that it doesn't follow the canon that we're used to. It's going to change some things up. You know, that's fine. I don't hate that. Inherently, I don't inherently dislike that. You know what I mean? The fact that it does have changes. The biggest problem I have is the One Being, the Elder Gods killed the One Being, chopped him up into 6 pieces, and those 6 pieces are the realms that we now live in, like Earth Realm. That's one piece of the One Being, quote unquote, right? So if the One Being is summoned and the One Being exists, it's over. It's over. Like, we cease to exist if the One Being comes back. Like, what it takes for him to come back and to be whole again is all the realms to be merged. Now, I get that that's just a simple lore discrepancy, and maybe I'm just thinking too much into it, but I fucking hated that. I thought that was fucking horrible. I could not believe the One Being is actually in this, and then you have Liu Kang, I shit you not, turns into a dragon. Now, granted, he has the power of the Elder Gods on his side, and as soon as the One Being came up, I'm like, he's gonna turn into a dragon and fight him. Laughing as I said it. And then he turns into a dragon and fucking fights him. I'm like, what? What? Bruh, come on. And look, I get at the time they said they don't know if they're going to make a second or if they were going to get the rights to do a third movie. I get that. So they're like, let's just throw it all at the wall. You know, throw all the spaghetti at the wall. Man, make the movie a half hour longer. This movie was what? Not even $1.30. So you have 2 movies worth of content jammed into one bite-sized package, and there's just so much going on. I just don't know why this wasn't 2 separate movies. You could have had the MK2 storyline, which even if they played just the straight MK2 storyline, has its changes, right? And then Corvair, the whole subplot was Scorpion and Sub-Zero and the One Being. Let's not even forget, Liu Kang doesn't kill the One Being. Or maybe he does. I don't even remember. But Scorpion and Sub-Zero have to help. There's no way, no matter how powerful of a human you are, that a human can do anything to the One Being. I just hated how they handled the One Being in this movie. It absolutely upsets me. If you don't care about lore and stuff like that, and you just want to see a bloody anime movie, you're going to get that. You're definitely going to get that. But for me, like I said, I'm a lore hound. I don't mind when they change things, as long as those changes are good and at least make sense. You know what I mean? It's a different timeline, but in all the timelines, the One Being is still the One Being. It's like on... we won't get into that. We won't get into that. But MK Battle of the Realms. Motherfucker, dude. Definitely an inferior sequel to Scorpion's Revenge, which, in my opinion, was still good, not great. It was good, not great. Now, moving on to Zack Snyder's Justice League. Okay. This one we can keep pretty brief because we've already talked about this movie on the channel. The biggest thing for Zack Snyder's Justice League is I've watched it since I did my initial review, and I still gotta say I still love the movie. Some of the hype has died down a little bit, and some of the things that I expressed, it didn't have to be 4 hours. I definitely really feel that upon rewatches, that some of the scenes are a little too embellishing, stuff like that. But overall, I still really enjoy Zack Snyder's Justice League. It is one of my favorite DC movies still to this day. And yeah, Zack Snyder's Justice League, man. If you're a Batman fan, Superman fan, Wonder Woman fan of any of the DC properties, Zack Snyder's Justice League is definitely worth a watch. Godzilla vs. Kong, another one that we have already talked about on this channel. Godzilla vs. Kong, it's a monsterverse movie. You want to see two big fucking monsters fight, you're gonna get that. The fight, there's several fights in this movie, and all of them are really good. I definitely have my problems with some of it, but holy shit, Godzilla vs. Kong, easily, I still stand by this, easily the best Godzilla movie or King Kong movie. Besides the 1999 Godzilla movie. Don't at me, but I like my Godzilla with some Matthew Broderick. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, we can rapid fire those because we've talked about them already on the channel. So going on to Black Widow, talk about some MCU stuff. Black Widow, good movie, really good choreography, really good set pieces. I was really impressed by the set pieces in this movie. The CG's not great. I'm not gonna lie. Beyond that, the whole time I'm sitting there watching it, I can't help but think it's kind of too little too late. It does great, and it does great with introducing some interesting new characters. Yelena is really awesome. Her parents, who aren't really her parents, but her parents, both great. I love both her parents in the movie. I thought they were great. Anytime I can see David Harbour again in anything, it's funny. One thing, I mean, we won't try and drag too much into this, but Stranger Things, they're fighting the Russians, and in this movie, he is Russian and speaking with a super thick Russian accent. I love it. I do love it. One thing I did not like is the pheromone kind of thing that they did with the movie. I mean, I'm able to grasp it. I just thought it was kind of a silly idea, and I thought it was even sillier how they fixed the problem. She's just, spoilers, she just bashes her fucking face into the desk, and she's like, oh yeah, well that sensor's broken. I can't smell nothing now. And it's like, I honestly laughed out loud when she smashed her head on the fucking table. I was like, that's great. That's amazing. That's the best way to handle this plot line. Just fuck it. Just smash your face into the desk. Beyond that, Taskmaster, the villain. Taskmaster was pretty fucking cool. I really like Taskmaster. Taskmaster. See, I'm getting tongue-tied. We're not editing this. We're not taking it out. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Nothing gets written on this channel. Come on now. So, Taskmaster, great villain. Some of the stuff that she does. Oh, spoiler! It's Taskmaster is traditionally a dude, but in this movie it is a chick. Doesn't bother me at all. She still does great in the movie. The actress who plays her used to be in a bunch of movies. She was in, I can't think of any movies right off the top of my head, but as soon as she took off the mask, like, I recognize this woman. I mean, she's all burnt up a little bit. She got some Freddy Krueger shit going on, but wow, I was like, man, I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you've been well. I hope you've been good. I'm so glad that you're acting again, that I'm seeing you and stuff. And maybe she's been in a bunch of stuff that I just haven't seen. I don't know. It's possible. But yeah, Black Widow, really good ideas, really good set pieces. Still, for me, too little too late. That's just kind of how it just be like that. So moving on to another MCU movie, Shang Chi. Now, Shang Chi, one thing right off the bat, some of the best fighting choreography we have seen in the MCU, hands down. Some of the best fighting choreography we've seen in the MCU. Hands down. My biggest problem with Shang-Chi is they talk about the Mandarin and his, secret cult or whatever. And at this point in the MCU, it's like, what, the 5th or 6th underground cult that's actually running the entire world. How many different secret organizations are there that are actually controlling the entire world and what happens in the entire world? How many different organizations can't even do that? Because first it was Hydra, and now all this time later, I don't even remember what their names are, but Shang Chi. I did really, really like this movie. Very artistic. We get Ben Kingsley to come back. Granted, he's kind of just a comic relief, but to be honest, that's kind of what he was in Iron Man 3, so it didn't bother me at all. It still bothers me in Iron Man 3 that his character was comic relief, because I was really excited to see him play like a vicious bad guy. But because Iron Man 3 happened and that's already what he was, it didn't bother me at all in this movie. The little creature thing he had was absolutely adorable. By the way, I was kind of like freaked out by the look of it, like when I first saw it, and then like after the initial like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, oh, this thing is adorable. It's so adorable. The plot for it with his dad, the final fight with his dad, like holy shit. The bus fight was great. The final fight with his dad was great. It does kind of suck, though. I feel like his dad, I mean, he is the bad guy, so he can die. I kind of think he gets shit on in this movie. I mean, granted, his motivation is he's got to save his wife. And then he just gets kind of unceremoniously picked off. And honestly, guys, I'm not going to lie, I kind of didn't like that, but, whatever. But the biggest thing I noticed with Shang-Chi is how they use the rings. They use the rings kind of like Iron Man uses his repulsors. If Iron Man didn't have a suit and use those rings, he would fight the same way. Maybe not with as much, technical prowess and whatnot, but, very similar to, that's one thing I noticed, how he moves and how he uses the rings, I think were quite similar to how Iron Man uses his repulsors for things not combat specific. You know what I mean? But Shang-Chi, a really solid movie. Kind of came out of nowhere, and I actually really dug it. I really dug Shang-Chi. No cap. So I don't know why I have Mortal Kombat 2021 right here. But Mortal Kombat 2021, not the worst Mortal Kombat movie released in 2021. I do have my problems with this movie. Again, this is another movie we've talked about on the channel before. Still, the fact still remains, I've watched it several times since then, and I've kind of lightened up to some of the things about it, but still, Cole Young and some of the decisions that Cole Young makes just absolutely rub me raw. I've seen a lot of content, Sonica XD, give a shout out to Sonica XD. One thing he pointed out is how shitty Raiden is in this movie. Like how bad, like really bad Raiden is. We're going to get into spoilers for Mortal Kombat 2021. No, we won't. There's some deaths in this movie that are directly Raiden's fault. It is Raiden's fault that some of these people died. We'll keep it at that. But beyond that, great blood, great action, bloody good time. If you want any more information or want to see more in-depth thoughts on MK 2021, Zack Snyder's Justice League, or Godzilla vs. Kong, be sure to check out some of the older videos in the channel. We have at least an hour deep dive into some of those. I think you'll love it. So moving on from there, we'll go to Army of the Dead. Now, Army of the Dead, boy, this was a really long movie. It's a really long movie. And the problem I have with this movie, my biggest problem is, it's not a movie to be its own self-contained thing. It's a movie that was made that I feel like just consistently puts things out on the table just to make you go, hey, what you got there? What's that? What's that on the table right there? And like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It doesn't need to be 2.5 hours long. You could make a really good, a really tight hour 45 movie out of this, hour and a half movie out of this, and probably be a lot better. One of the things is there's robot zombies at one point. What the fuck? Not only that, one of the characters in this is also in a sequel or a spin-off, Army of Thieves. Like, that's one of the things I'm talking about. Like, immediately, like, this movie was made with a franchise in mind. And sometimes, you know, you can say the same thing about MK 2021. Sometimes it bothers you, sometimes it doesn't. In this instance, it really did bother me. You also have some of the most, when it comes to zombies, the only other zombies that I can think of are like I Am Legend zombies, which they are zombies. Maybe some people have called them vampires. I consider them zombies, that are basically zombies in living life, not just aimlessly walking around looking for food. They are smart, they are intelligent, they can group together, they can work together, and they follow the leader. And the lead zombie is really fucking cool. I'll give the movie that. The lead zombie is really cool. Dave Bautista does a great job. There are some really interesting characters in this, and there's also some really shitty characters in this. And one thing I can say is it does kind of suck seeing some of these characters die. You're like, no, not dude. I liked him. It is a fun movie and at points, but man, it's a 2.5 hour movie and it feels like a 2.5 hour movie. That's my biggest thing for like Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's 4 hours. Rarely do I realize that it's 4 hours. Only when they stretch some things out and I'm like, get over with this scene, not get on with this movie. You know what I mean? Like, get this scene out of here. Come on. It doesn't need to be this long. You know what I mean? So, Army of the Dead, it's a big movie with big aspirations to make an entire franchise. And there was one too many things, and it just kind of shut me off. There was just one too many things where I'm like, it's kind of like Chekhov's gun. You know, you see a gun in the first half of a movie. In the second half, you're going to see the gun get used, right? Or like in horror movies, you see like a giant buzzsaw or a fucking grinder or something. You're like, someone's falling in there. The amount of things they mention and introduce in this movie and just never pay off. Oh, it just fucking irked me, man. I hated it. I hated that. And that's definitely... I mean, it's still a good zombie movie if you want to see a new zombie movie. It's good. It's all right, but definitely not the best Zack Snyder movie. Not even the best Zack Snyder zombie movie. Dawn of the Dead would be the best Zack Snyder zombie movie. Don't at me. I don't even think I need to say that. Does anyone disagree that Dawn of the Dead is the best Zack Snyder zombie movie? I don't know. Anyway, moving on to Spiral. Now, Spiral's an interesting case because, hold on. Spiral is an interesting case because it's the second time they have done a quote-unquote spin-off of the original Saw franchise, right? Jigsaw, I thought, was okay. Honestly, when it comes down to it, I think Saw 2, maybe, well, Saw 1, Saw 2, Saw 4? You know, the Saws kind of blend together with me. There are several Saws that I were like, this movie kind of sucks. And there are several Saws I'm like, dude, this movie's actually really fucking good. And then Jigsaw comes out. It was okay. Some good kills. Spiral comes out, starring Chris Rock. Now, Chris Rock does a fine job in this. He still is, quote unquote, the comic relief in the movie. He has the most, or says the most funny lines, which not all of them land, and that's okay. That's okay. Not all of them are always going to land. But Spiral is a Saw movie that takes place from the POV of the cops. Now, once the traps get going, the traps are, at first you think they're going to be a little bit more basic, and then some of the traps are like super complex, and you're like, oh, was this killer also an engineer? Because that's how, you know, the original Jigsaw was able to make all these super elaborate traps. He was an engineer. He had worked on, I mean, not saw traps, but he got the physics of it or whatever. Let me not get too much into debunking some of this stuff or being like, yeah, of course someone with an engineering degree could make every one of the Jigsaw traps. Like, but you get what I'm saying? There was a foundation there, at least in engineering, that would explain how he could even be able to do such things. And then now, I'm not going to tell you who the killer is, but it never specifies if he has any kind of engineering and or has any kind of background in engineering. We're not cutting this. We're not editing it. We're just going to leave it. Fuck it. We'll do it live. So, one of the biggest new additions is with the new killer, of course, you have a new voice, a new toy that talks to the victim right before they die. I hate the new voice. I really hate the new voice. I really, really do. It does have really great moments, and I actually think Chris Rock did really good in this movie. We're not going to get into spoilers. We're going to spoil one thing. We're going to spoil one thing and say that the Saw theme, I believe, only plays once in this movie, and it's like towards the very end. And when they do it, you're just like, there it is. There it is. I've been waiting to hear that song the whole time. The when it plays, oh my, it pumped me up so good. It pumped me up so fucking good. It was amazing. It was amazing. There are, like I said, there are parts in this movie that I really liked. The whole concept of the movie and what the plot is about, how Jigsaw is going around killing dirty cops. They explain it well enough. You're like, well, yeah, okay. Okay. My biggest thing, especially with movies nowadays, is the villain doesn't have to be super deep or super, what do you call it? Doesn't have to be relatable or doesn't have to be sympathetic. Bad shit does happen to the main guy, to the killer or whatever. Like, he has reasons for what he's doing, but it doesn't always have to, you don't always have to agree with what they're doing. You know what I mean? Which I don't think I do in this movie. But anyway, Spiral, you want a new Saw movie? It's a different kind of Saw movie, but still a Saw movie nevertheless. Still a good movie. Very much in the vein of like Saw and Seven had a baby. It's basically what I got to say about that. And I enjoyed it. So next we have The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Ooh, I'm talking too much, man. All right. The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. This movie, from what I remember, this is the one I probably remember the least because it does kind of blur into The Hitman's Bodyguard, which both of these movies are really funny. You get so much more Salma Hayek in this movie, which is never a bad thing. But man, do they use the shit out of Salma Hayek. She has a couple scenes to where I'm just like, okay, calm down a little bit. She has a couple like freak out scenes or whatever, which are good, which are definitely good. But I'm just like, okay, you probably could have taken like 13 of those fucks out of that little monologue, you know, and it would have still been funny, but like, ease it up a little bit. Also, of course, let's not forget that Morgan Freeman is in this movie as Ryan Reynolds' dad. And that is so fucking funny to me. And it is always so good to see a little bit more Morgan Freeman. And the fact that he was like, he's the reason that Ryan Reynolds is a bodyguard now. Like, he aspires to be the best bodyguard in the world because his dad is in fact the best bodyguard in the world. Love that. Love that, love that, love that. And really pays off towards the end of the movie. Antonio Banderas is a bad guy. Something I actually really like. I didn't think I'd like it. And I can't remember if he dies or not. That doesn't matter. I just love seeing him as a bad guy. I just remember him always being the good guy when I was a kid. And now that I'm older, one thing Antonio Banderas does so well is he has them crazy eyes. You know what I mean? The bad guy eyes where they look at you from like across the room or whatever in a scene and you're like, ooh, that's a bad guy. That's a good looking bad guy right there. Anytime I get to see Morgan Freeman or Antonio Banderas or Salma Hayek in a movie, I'm always pretty happy about it. So Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, if you like the first one, you definitely got to see the first one. You definitely got to see the first one. If you like the first one, you're going to like this one. It's the same stuff. Ryan Reynolds being the timid one, just reacting to someone else that's just so flamboyant. It's funny stuff. Kind of getting a little overplayed at this point, but still enjoyed the movie. So going on to Nobody. Nobody is when it comes to choreography, Nobody is a very sound movie. The main guy is very unassuming. You wouldn't think he'd be able to kick ass. So when he finally does, I mean, that's kind of the point of the movie, but they do definitely play it as it's a surprise to everybody that this guy can whoop some ass. I didn't think it was that great. I didn't think it was that great of a movie. I can respect it for its choreography, which I think it did phenomenal. You have Christopher Lloyd in this movie playing his dad, who's also great. His dad is amazing in this movie. Christopher Lloyd was my favorite part of this movie, hands down. Ooh, throat's getting a little scratchy. Excuse me. So, beyond that, I really don't have much else to say about Nobody. It was okay. It just kind of feels like, because it's the people that made John Wick. So, of course, the choreography is great, but beyond that, there's not much else I enjoyed about this. Christopher Lloyd, the choreography. That's about it. That's about all I liked about this movie. Because those were great. But I kind of just not a huge fan of the main guy. I just don't see him as an action star. It's really jarring for me to see him as an action star. He's supposed to be a slimy lawyer. And people are supposed to be able to break typecasting, and you don't want to get typecast. He's kind of unfortunately typecast. You know what I mean? I just don't see him as a badass. He did good. He did good in the choreography, but beyond that, not a huge fan. I'm not going to lie. So, going on from Nobody, I mean, I don't want to shit on it, but, it was okay. So, moving on to Free Guy. Free Guy, first off, doesn't need to be 2.5 hours, or however long it is. It does not need to be as long as it is. But Free Guy is a movie that's unexpectedly, really wholesome. It's a really wholesome movie. So, you'd think... one thing I'll say about Free Guy, the best Grand Theft Auto movie that was never made. You could slap Grand Theft Auto Online as this title, and it would work perfectly. But they didn't do that, did they? No, they did not. So, another Ryan Reynolds movie, probably the best one, I'd say, out of every movie in this list with Ryan Reynolds in it, because there are several. Probably my favorite one. It's an original concept. Well, not original. Creative concept, we'll say. It's basically Tron. But people get sucked into the world knowingly. So Ryan Reynolds does great in this movie. We have, is it Joe Keery? The guy from Stranger Things? He does great in this movie. He's so wholesome. I just couldn't believe how wholesome this movie was. I really couldn't. It's definitely a good movie. I really liked Free Guy. If you're one of those people that was kind of on the fence about it, there's so many little things that happen, so many Easter eggs or things that happen in the background that you're like, huh, no shit. That I actually did really dig Free Guy. It is again a movie I've only watched once. Will I watch it again? Possibly, but I tell you what, I did have a really good time. I just had a really good time with Free Guy. It's a movie that I went in expecting to think was this movie's gonna be okay. It might even be dog shit. You know what I mean? And I went away that was actually a pretty good movie. I actually really dug that. I was a lot happier with my film watching experience than I expected to be. And sometimes it's nice to be pleasantly surprised. Unlike Nobody, where I went in not expecting much, expecting good choreography, and that's exactly what I got. I don't feel like I got much and got really good choreography. So, that's pretty much all I got to say about Free Guy. It's a fun movie. It's just really fun. It's just a really fun movie. So moving on from there, we're going on to Malignant. Now, Malignant is a scary movie that is... We won't spoil it, but we'll just say most horror movies have some kind of twist. And I'll tell you what, you're either going to be on board for this twist or you're not. You're either going to really dig the twist or be okay with it, or it's just going to completely take you out of the movie. Completely take you out of the movie. I didn't hate the twist. I thought it was interesting, and what they did with it, I thought was pretty cool. And it was some of the shit that was like really weird, man. It was really weird. The main actress, of course, I can't remember her name, but she's also from The Mummy. So it was actually cool to see her in a movie that I actually really dug. I did actually really like Malignant. One thing I gotta say about this movie is, holy shit, is it violent and bloody. It's a really gruesome movie. Some of the things that they do where like it's the spinning shot. I'm always a really big fan of the spinning shots and then crazy shit's going on around them. The CG in this movie, well, the CG when it's that, they do have kind of shoddy CG later on in the movie, but at least for those instances, I was impressed. I just think it was just such a cool visual. The spinning camera, which is something that's in the trailer, so I don't feel like that's a spoiler. Wow. I was pretty impressed with it. So, like I said, Malignant, it's a movie that when you do see the deaths, it super violent, super bloody, and you're like, damn. You'll see every now and then in a horror movie, you'll see a kill, someone get stabbed. Oh, that sucks. I like that character. Oh, I didn't like that character, whatever. And then whether you like the character or not, you see the kill and you're like, sheesh. So that's definitely what happened in Malignant. There are some just absolutely brutal fucking kills in this movie. And when I want to go in and watch a nice horror slasher or whatever, I want a bloody good time. I want to be kind of freaked out a little bit. I kind of want to be like, oh shit. That is exactly what I got out of Malignant. Like I said, I know people personally that I watched this movie with that they're like, I hated the twist. Couldn't. As soon as I got to that twist, I was out. I was done. Packed my bags, fucking left. Didn't bother me. Did I think it was the coolest thing ever? No. Did I think it was a little silly? Yeah. Did it take me all the way out of the movie? No, it did not. I still enjoyed myself with Malignant. And, yeah, I actually pretty fucking dug it. So, Eternals. Moving on to Eternals. The worst MCU movie I had seen in 2021. The worst. Because it should have been A, a TV show, or B, an hour less. It was like a 3-hour movie. It did not need to be 3 hours. Did not need to be 3 hours. You either give us a tight movie, or it should honestly, it should have just been a TV show. Eternals should have just been a TV show. Eternals did several things that I actually really thought were interesting. I actually really liked several things that they did in the Eternals. One of the things they do is the speedster character, which is Connie from The Walking Dead. Love that. The speedster character, they play it like Dash from The Incredibles. They just let them be fast, right? We've really gotten used to, like, when it comes to Quicksilver and the Flash, they slow things down so we can see things from their perspective, where the Eternals does not do that. She's just zooming around the MFer. You know what I mean? Love that. I really do love that. I think it is really cool that they do that. And it is... The action set pieces are really good in this. You have Kumail Nanjiani, which I don't know if I said that right. I hope I did. He's great in this movie. He is absolutely great in this movie. Most of the time he's in this movie, I'm laughing or interested. I really like some of the powers that he has. He basically has like a finger gun power. Love that power. Absolutely love that power. The worst thing about this movie is the two characters I wanted to see the most of, which, because there's plenty of Kumail, Angelina Jolie, and then I can't remember the guy's name, but he was in Train to Busan. And I saw that he was in this movie. I'm like, yo. And then him and Angelina Jolie are like together. I'm like, yo. And they're like a couple, and they like kind of fuck off and don't. They're really not in the movie, like, at all. Like, I think both of those characters, even combined, probably get like 10 minutes of screen time. Like 10 minutes of screen time. Like, that's it. Out of like a 3-hour movie. Granted, they're trying to introduce like almost 10 characters that we've never met before. See, and that's why it should have been a show. Give us a 10 episode show. Each episode is about another character, and each episode ends with them being introduced, and like, because the whole plot is they got to get the group back together. They got to get everyone back together, right? So have an episode with every character, flesh that character out, and then have them join the ensemble cast. It's just like, imagine if Avengers happened and we didn't get any of our standalone movies. And granted, you can say the same exact thing about Zack Snyder's Justice League, but they did it with a Batman. Batman and Superman were already introduced. Wonder Woman was already introduced and already had their own movies at this point. The only two characters that had not had their own movie yet, which actually by this time, Aquaman initially hadn't come out yet, but we had seen an Aquaman movie by the time this came out. So it was really just the Flash and Cyborg that hadn't had their own movie. I guess that's retroactive continuity or whatever, but we'll leave that alone. I think Eternals should have been a TV show. That's basically all I got to say about it. But it did, even then, I feel like it was a 3-hour movie and it really felt like 3 hours. Also, Angelina Jolie, the guy from Train to Busan, Salma Hayek is in it as well. You add all of their characters up, that's like still probably like 10, 15 minutes of screen time out of a 3-hour movie. You have your most interesting characters in at the least. Why? Because Angelina Jolie is basically the whatever for the inspiration for like Athena, the goddess of war. I think her name is Athena, actually, now that I think about it. I think she is actually Athena. That's great. She's awesome. She's doing some fucking sword shit. It's really cool. But she barely does it. Just because she's barely in the movie. I don't know why. Anyway. Eternals, man. It was good, but actually it was alright. Alright is what I'll say for Eternals. It was alright. Because it's basically the MCU Justice League, because, you know, you got the Flash. Athena is Wonder Woman. What's the guy's name? Icarus is Superman. Some really cool characters in this movie, but should have been a TV show. So while it still felt like a 3-hour movie, there were still scenes that just felt absolutely rushed. Absolutely rushed, even for a 3-hour movie that felt like it was dragging on. It was the most peculiar fucking thing to me. I don't know. Wasn't a huge fan. One thing Eternals did do, though, well, technically Iron Man 1 had kind of a sex scene in it, but since then, since Disney took over, there's actually a fucking sex scene in this movie. I'm not against sex scenes, but holy shit, did that feel out of place. Did that really feel out of place? I was literally watching this movie and I'm like, there's children in here. What the fuck? This is an MCU movie. This is Daddy Disney. Fucking Mickey Mouse behind the fucking camera like, fuck it. We've made like 100 of these movies. Fuck it. Whatever. Eternals, not great. So, moving on to Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now, what would you call this? As Scream 5, or I would like to say 5 Cream has pointed out, this is a requel. It's a sequel that kind of reboots the franchise, but doesn't necessarily get rid of all the old canon. You have a legacy character die. Of course, we won't get into too much spoilers, but it's one of the Ghostbusters that is no longer with us. So, in that sense, I understood and I didn't hate it. And it's not like, we just got to spoil this one. Egon dies right at the very beginning. And he has this whole plan, and this plan is working, but like the fuse blows or some shit like that. So the monster gets through, the monster kills him. Then you have his family come in. The kid actors, good kid actors. Paul Rudd is also in this movie. also does a great job. Paul Rudd does a phenomenal job in this movie. My biggest problem with this movie is once they find all the Ghostbusters shit, there's a scene where they're just going through the town, lighting up all this, like just tearing the town apart, trying to get this ghost. And I get that everyone can also see the ghost. They would not be allowed to just run through this town and fucking wreck it like that. It was one of those scenes where it took me out of the movie, where I'm like, where's the cops at? Where's anybody at? Because nobody's really going to be happy with this, right? They're going to be fucking pissed off about this, right? Evidently not. Evidently nobody gave a shit. Whatever. I will say this movie does do a pretty good job of actually being kind of creepy at points. It is actually kind of unsettling at points. I thought that was really good. Of course, it is a reimagining of the original plot because, like I said, we're already doing spoilers here. It's the monster from the original Ghostbusters. So you have the gatekeeper and the keymaster, and that, I think that works out pretty well. And let's see. I don't think this is blasphemous in any way to the traditional Ghostbusters timeline. Yeah, of course Egon dies, but they did it in a way where I didn't hate it. You know, you have these rumblings and tremors going on in the town. And so, of course, you have your stereotypical child actor that's super smart and like smarter than everybody that's around her. Another Stranger Things actor, Finn Wolfhard, is in this. Doesn't get to do a whole lot. He's in the movie. Doesn't really do a whole lot. He kind of has like this girl that he likes, but that's kind of all he's doing. He's just trying to fall in love with this chick. I don't know. Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's a pretty good time. I actually dug it. So that's pretty much all I got to say about that. We'll go ahead and move on to Red Notice. Oh boy, Red Notice is the Uncharted movie that we always wanted. If they literally scratched away Red Notice, called it Uncharted, called Ryan Reynolds' character Nathan Drake, called The Rock, called him Cutter, and changed Gal Gadot's character to Chloe Frazer, it's literally almost a perfect Uncharted movie. They don't do that. Red Notice, it is kind of formulaic. A lot of Ryan Reynolds movies anymore are. They're really formulaic. Good action set pieces. The Rock always has good banter with anyone that he's with. Ryan Reynolds almost always has good banter with anyone that he's with. So when they banter together, it's really good banter. They have a really good time. There are some twists in it. I remember really enjoying this movie, but just the whole time thinking, why wasn't this called Uncharted? Was this the original Uncharted script, but they just scrapped it and someone else picked it up? Netflix picked it up? Like, the fuck? Sorry, guys. My voice is getting really scratchy. Ooh! So, Red Notice. I know there's a lot of Ryan Reynolds movies, and I'm kind of giving them a pass. If you don't like Ryan Reynolds, you're not going to like this movie. Yeah. That's pretty much all I got to say about that. I wish it was called Uncharted. So, moving on to Halloween Kills. Now, Halloween Kills, man oh man. It is a dumb, fun horror movie. I'll say right off the bat, Halloween 2018. Halloween 2018 was such a phenomenal, scary movie. It was great. It was a great, scary movie. None of the characters in Halloween 2018 inherently felt dumb. You never looked at any of the characters and you're like, what? Maybe once or twice. There are a couple twists in it that I didn't like in Halloween 2018, but at no point did I think there are things that are happening that I thought were dumb, but at no point where was I like, dude, this character's fucking dumb. What are you doing? You kind of deserve to die. That happens a lot in Halloween Kills. You have really dumb characters in this movie, but going in to a Halloween movie, I want to have a bloody fun time, and that is exactly what Halloween Kills is. Is it kind of silly at points? Yeah, it's a little silly at points. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie to you, you know. But beyond that, I really enjoyed Halloween Kills. I really liked it. You have the biggest problems with this movie is Jamie Lee Curtis is just shelved. The whole movie, she's just oh. Ugh. See, it bothers me so bad I almost had to sneeze. I stopped it though. We're fine. Jamie Lee Curtis is shelved this whole movie. So one character that they add, which is of course a legacy character, is Michael C. Hall. Not Michael C. Hall. What the fuck is his name? Anthony Michael Hall. Oh my god. Oh my god. Anthony Michael Hall is what I meant to say. So Anthony Michael Hall comes in this movie just chewing up the scenery. Oh my gosh. He's super over the top, but I just love it. I love seeing him back in movies, and I think he does a great over the top person that's just who was involved in the original Halloween movie, who kind of the biggest thing I love about this movie is how one event can really change a town and how legacies live on, and how so many different people were truly affected by the events of the original 78 Halloween. And boy, oh boy, does Michael Myers get some fucking kills in this. Some of the kills in this are just absolutely ridiculous. I believe two characters that I absolutely love, Big John and Little John. I can't remember which one it is. One of the Johns gets his fucking eye. They live in the spoilers. I'm sorry. I guess we'll do spoilers for this one. I think it's Big John gets his fucking eyeballs just ripped out of their fucking sockets. Oh my god, that was so brutal. But one thing I did love is that's how one of the Johns die. I think it's Big John. That's how Big John dies. And then Little John finds Big John. And the actor that plays him is, I can't remember his name, but Michael something. He was from Mad TV, right? So he sees Michael Myers and he's like, Michael, you've come home. And then it just kind of pans away. You're like, okay, well, he's dead. And people really hated that. People really hated that that's how that character died. I loved it because I knew his name was Michael. I can't think of his last name, but I know his name's Michael. And I kind of consider that to be like a Jamie Kennedy telling Jamie Lee Curtis to like, Jamie, behind you. And like his real name is Jamie Kennedy, and someone was behind him in the movie. You know what I mean? I thought it was some kind of meta shit like that. So that's actually one of my favorite scenes where he's like, Michael, you've come home. I don't know. It's just the line delivery. I just really enjoyed that scene. Would I have liked to see him die properly? I mean, yeah, of course. But that's one of my favorite scenes. Big John and Little John. Two of my favorite characters in this movie. And then it would have to be Anthony Michael Hall. And then, I don't know, Anthony Michael Hall just kills it in this movie. He just fucking kills it in this movie. I gotta say that his performance, the characters in this movie is what saves the lesser aspects for me of the movie, because there are some things that are kind of silly. The biggest problem that people have is, okay, again, we're doing spoilers for Halloween Ends or Halloween Kills. We do not want to talk about Halloween Ends right now. That could be its whole separate fucking video on its own. And it might be. If this YouTube thing goes well and I actually kind of dig it, who knows? We might go back into it. So the biggest problem people say is there is another inmate that escaped when Michael Myers did, right? And they think he comes to the hospital, he's all bloody, and they're like, is this everyone thinks it's Michael Myers, and they chase him and they're gonna beat the fuck out of him. And so he jumps out the window and splatters on the ground, and they're like, see what you did? Your mob justice killed an innocent man. He was not innocent. He didn't kill anybody that day. But let's not forget where he was. He was in the same place as Michael Myers. You're not innocent and end up in the same place as Michael Myers. It's not the case. He did not kill anybody that night, but he was not an innocent man. Does that make what happens to him okay? No, not at all. I'm not saying that. But that was my biggest problem. That was my biggest problem with with how all that played out is pump the brakes, kid. He's not innocent. Like, does it make it okay? Does it make it better? No, but everyone's like, how could anyone think that that's Michael Myers? Nobody knows what Michael Myers really looks like. They showed all the people that escaped and they didn't give the tagline of names. Only several people in the town have actually seen or met Michael Myers or had any type of interaction with him. It doesn't bother me that people thought this guy was Michael Myers. What bothered me is they're like, it's an innocent man. Like, well, yeah, he shouldn't have went out like that. He was doing his time the way he should have been doing. But he was doing time in the first place. I don't know. That's just one thing I thought was a little silly. It would be different if it was someone that was actually innocent. You know what I mean? Maybe he was wrongfully convicted. If he was wrongfully convicted, I'd be right there with you. That was an innocent man and he all fucked up. And they still, fucked up because that definitely wasn't Michael Myers. But, all I got to say about this movie for Halloween Kills, it's nowhere near as good as Halloween 2018, but it's a fucking bloody good time. It's really good kills. Some really stupid character decisions and character moments, but still a pretty good time. And you know what? Hold on. Karen tries to save this man's life. She's like, I know you're not Michael Myers. When she locks him into this little space and so people are trying to break in, why didn't she stay in there with him? Why didn't she lock herself in there? She's like, look, obviously this is not Michael Myers. Like, I'm still alive. He's not fucking strangling me right now. But no, the mob just comes in, pushes her down or pushes her out of the way. And she's just like, and like, they're coming from both sides. Like, so you're only going to be, I don't know. I don't know. Halloween Kills. We're already doing spoilers. So one other thing I'll say is, man, is it really fucking dumb that Karen is actually able to stab Michael Myers in the back, gets him down on the ground, stomps on his head, and then runs away. Stomps on his head, then runs away. Still has the fucking pokey thing. Fucking poke him some more. That's my biggest problem with the movie is the character decisions. The characters themselves, there are some really likable characters in this. So that really saves it for me. But man, do some of them make really fucking stupid decisions. Because at least in Halloween 2018, it was all three generations of the Strode women just kicking ass, chewing up the scenery, being really good, interesting characters. And then in this, they had a bunch of new characters that are fucking stupid. And even Karen makes dumb fucking decisions. At no point in Halloween 2018 could you say that Karen made a stupid decision, that she was dumb. And Halloween Kills, you're like, girl, you dumb. Like, that's stupid. I don't know why you did it like that. But definitely not as good as Halloween 2018, but still a good movie overall. I feel like we spent a lot of time on Halloween Kills. Anyway, moving on to Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. Man, am I about to shit on this movie. So, there's several things that this movie does well. The Chris, the Jill, the Claire, I thought were all really good. There are things that happen in this movie that definitely make my heart sing, but the older I get, the more I see. I'll just say this. I don't know when quote-unquote fan service became inherently a bad thing. There are some things that happen in this movie, and I'm like, that's great. That's great. What they do to the lore and what they do to the two of the characters specifically, I was just like, man, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? To see the RPD IRL, phenomenal, right? To see, I mean, we had seen Lickers before, but like Lisa Trevor's inclusion and the fact that Chris and Claire were orphans and they have a connection to Lisa Trevor. I thought that was kind of unnecessary. I don't know why they needed to have any kind of... I don't know why any character in this movie needed any type of connection to the past. We also see the... oh gosh, the twins from Code Veronica, they get a little cameo. I thought that was pretty cool. There's inklings in this movie where you're like, man, you guys are... There's some scenes you're like, you guys are fucking onto something right here. They do something that I believe they did in Resident Evil Vendetta, one of the CG movies, where Chris is going through the house, shooting, like it's a pitch black scene, and you just see Chris firing his gun and just shooting zombies, and that's all the light you get is his muzzle flash. That scene was really fucking good. It was a really good scene. There are inklings of really good things in this movie. But the one thing I just can't forgive, and I'm just unable to get over, is the fact that they tried to make Wesker sympathetic. Wesker is a fucking dirtbag. He's been a dirtbag his whole fucking life. Let Wesker be a fucking dirtbag, okay? Not every villain has to be like Loki, where we're like, oh, he's so tragic, you know, maybe in a couple movies he'll be a good guy. No. Wesker is supposed to be the biggest piece of shit we've ever met. He fucks over everybody that he knows. He doesn't care about anybody else. He's in it for himself. Why did you change that? The Paul W.S. Anderson movies had a better Wesker than this movie. What? What? So not only that, not only do I feel like they just took a giant dump on Wesker, they also took a giant dump on Leon. Now, I get it that you have a bunch of cops and a bunch of tough guys or whatever, so you need a character, especially Leon, since he is the rookie, to be like kind of a bumbling idiot a little bit. Man, they play that shit up for Leon, and it really hurt. Look, a lot of people are like, well, they don't like the actor that they cast because it's the guy from Zombieland Double Tap. Did not care about the casting. I do not like how this character was written. I don't think the actor himself did a bad job because that's the character that they wrote. That is the character that they wrote. Someone got paid money to write Leon S. Kennedy like that. And I don't think it matters who would have played him. That's how they wanted Leon to be. And it bugged the fuck out of me. Like I said, Jill did good, Claire did good, Chris did good. But Wesker and Leon, get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. I will say that at least they kind of give it back to Leon at the very end of the movie, but it was just kind of too little too late at that point for me. I'm just like, you still spent this whole movie just shitting all over Leon, and I did not appreciate it. And you also did stupid fucking shit with Wesker. Like, honestly, Wesker is what upsets me the most about this movie. As you guys know, I am a lore hound, and I don't mind when they change things as long as the changes are good. The changes to Wesker are not good. I do not like the changes to Wesker. They're fucking bullshit. So, while not a terrible movie, if you're a Resident Evil fan, it's definitely worth a watch. I mean, I'll just say that. If you want to watch, there's not a whole lot of zombies in it. There's a couple zombies in it, but there's a lot less zombies than I thought. A lot more Lisa Trevor than I thought. And I don't know, man. It's been a while since I had seen this movie, and I haven't rewatched it since. I haven't rewatched a lot of these movies. You guys will probably be able to tell there's some of these movies I'm spending a lot more time on than others. Because there's just not a whole lot to say. Like, yeah, you know, it was interesting. I liked it. Whatever. Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. There's things I loved, and then there's things I fucking hated. But hey, that's neither here nor there. Whatever. Moving on to Matrix Resurrections. Now, boy oh boy is this a divisive movie. Now, a lot of people really fucking hate this movie. They really hate this movie. I don't really hate this movie. Now, right off the bat, is this movie necessary? No. No, not at all. Not at all. Is any movie necessary? No, it is not. No movie is necessary. Every franchise you've ever seen could have just been one movie. Could have just been one movie. With that being said, does it, for me, inherently ruin the original trilogy? No, I don't believe it ruins the original trilogy in any way, shape, or form. Does it cheapen the original trilogy? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. There are things I don't like about this movie, for sure. But one thing this movie does do is, because ever since the original trilogy, what happens next? It tells you what happens next. And at least for the most part, we won't get into spoilers for Resurrections, but it kind of sort of has a happy ending. One of the best things about Matrix Resurrections, though, it has one of my favorite trailers of all time. The what is it, Jefferson Airplane with the Alice song? That Alice song with the trailer for this movie, one of my favorite trailers, has one of my favorite shots where you have the guy coming in and flipping over. It's Morpheus, but not Morpheus, but it's Morpheus, but it's not Morpheus, but it's Morpheus. And he comes in and he kind of flips, does a front flip through the door, but kind of, instead of curling up how most people do, he kind of, I don't know. It's one of my favorite shots. It's one of my favorite shots in cinema in a long time. I love that shot. So let's talk about Abdul Yahya Mateen II. Does a great job as not Morpheus. We'll fucking just get into spoilers. Kinda, I guess, when we need to. He's not really Morpheus, but he's Morpheus. He's a program of Morpheus, right? So, I think he did great. I think he did an absolutely fucking phenomenal job. One of the new characters introduced Bugs, like the bunny, which she actually says in the movie. I think she's a fucking great character. I really like Bugs. Bugs is the best new character that they introduced in this movie. And honestly, if they make a sequel or a spinoff, I'd watch a spinoff about Bugs. I'd fucking totally watch that movie. There are things that definitely upset me about this movie, but for the most part, it feels like the first half of the movie, you really had me. You really had me intrigued. And then the second, I guess spoilers, the second half of the movie is, well, what about Trinity? So a lot of people don't like, all right, spoilers, fuck it, spoilers. A lot of people don't like that for this new Matrix, instead of there just being one, there's a duo now, because Neo and Trinity are both the one. I thought that was an amazing concept, that with this new Matrix, it's their bond. It is their bond that sets them free, which technically, if you think about it, was kind of always the case, and especially in the first two movies. Revelations, that didn't go well, but especially the first movie, it was their connection, and especially with how much they talk about connections in the Matrix series in general, like the program in the train station at the beginning of Revelations, like, what is love? How do you describe love? Can machines feel love? It's like, it doesn't matter what you define love as, because all it is merely the connection between one thing and another. It's all about the connection. So I actually really fucking dug it. Spoilers again. The end of the movie, they jump off the top of the building and they're waiting for Keanu to fly. It's not him that flies. It's Trinity that flies. I was like, yeah. I loved that. I fucking loved that. Now, granted, this movie definitely has its problems. This movie is a little too meta. Basically, Lana Wachowski was like, kind of gave a big fuck you to Warner Brothers, because even Warner Brothers gets name dropped in this movie, like, Warner Brothers was going to do this shit with or without us, so I figured I might as well fucking do it, That's basically what this movie is. And I gotta say, is it necessary? No, it's not necessary in the slightest. Am I glad that they made it? Yeah. I actually really enjoyed Matrix Resurrections. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I actually really enjoyed this movie. Thematically and critically, I'm sure you could tear this movie apart. Absolutely. But just going back and seeing it all, I was enthralled. Almost the entire movie, I was enthralled. I really liked Matrix Resurrections. I really did. But like I said, I loved Bugs. I loved the new Morpheus, and I loved that the whole point was their connection. Because like I said, to me, I always thought it was about their connection. It was, when it comes to Neo being Neo, he could not be Neo if it wasn't for Trinity, right? That's how I always took that. I mean, he was going to be the one regardless, I guess, technically. Because he's, whatever. But the connection with Trinity was essential to such things. I don't know. Matrix Resurrections. I liked it. Unfortunately, if I do have to say bad things about this movie, the bots, not scary. The agents were way scarier. The bots are kind of dumb. Didn't really like it. The new Agent Smith, because Agent Smith also returns. It's not Hugo Weaving. It doesn't matter who you put in that spot. No one is going to be Smith better than Hugo Weaving. That's just how it is. I don't even know if he's acting anymore. I was really upset that he didn't come back, though. Man, yeah. Smith sucked. The bugs sucked. Or not the bugs. The drones, the bots. I can't remember what they call them. There's definitely a lot wrong with this movie. But overall, I think it kind of... I want to defend this movie because people shit on this movie so hard. And it's not as bad as everyone says. It is, to me... I think it's an alright movie. I think it's even a good movie. I like it. You're going to have to... Actually, I don't know if it would be better or worse without watching the original Matrix trilogy. You could definitely watch this movie without seeing the originals because they definitely have a lot of cutbacks. There's maybe one too many cutbacks, or where they show scenes from the original. Maybe one too many. Definitely a Cobra Kai thing that they got, but possibly one too many. But, whatever. I still think it gets a bad rap, and I still want to support this movie because I liked it. And it's not as bad as everyone says. I'm just kind of rambling on. I'm just kind of saying that. We're done with Matrix Resurrections. We're coming out to the final... Holy shit, the final movie. Oh my gosh. We're like an hour and 10 minutes plus in this motherfucker. What? Okay, so MFing Spidey. Boy, oh boy. Let me look at this list real quick. MF and Spidey. Saving the best for last. Literally, the last movie to come out, the last movie I had seen in 2021, literally saving the best for last. I don't know. After Avengers Endgame came out, I'm like, they'll never be able to top this. They will never be able to top this film. Here comes your boy Tom Holland. Spoilers, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming in, and they come in and they're not cameos. They're in the fucking movie. They are characters in this movie. What? Couldn't believe it. Could not fucking believe it. Excuse me, I had to get me a little drinky drink. They're in this movie. It takes them a minute to get there, but holy shit, they're great. All the returning characters are great. The fact that Willem Dafoe, the Green Goblin, is the main bad guy of this film, beautiful. Beautiful. Will it work without seeing all the other prior Spider-Man movies? I don't know. Maybe. There are no cutbacks, or there's callbacks, but there's no cutbacks of where they show previously filmed footage or anything. We're just gonna have to do spoilers for this. I'm pretty sure I already said that. We're just gonna have to do spoilers for this. So not only do you have Tobey Maguire coming back, you have Willem Dafoe just chewing up every scene that he's in. Alfred Molina also comes back. He's great. Jamie Foxx comes back. He's fucking great. Every character in this movie is fucking great. There's not a single shitty character in this movie. Not one shitty character in this movie. Of course, the whole love thing between him and MJ, that's been a thing in all the movies, kind of. And It is really fucking cute. They're really fucking cute. It's really wholesome. And it makes sense that in real life that they're actually dating, and they were dating at the time they made this movie. And you can fucking tell because their chemistry together, it's just so adorable. So not only that, we finally get the scene. It's not Uncle Ben that says it. Again, spoilers. It is Aunt May. Green Goblin takes out Aunt May. And she gives, with great power must also come great responsibility speech. Fucking chills. Oh my God. Chills. So, just wow. Wow. I remember, I literally remember thinking, oh, she's about to die. I remember when she said that, I'm like, oh, she's dead. She's actually dead. Because she gets hit by the glider. She gets up, and I'm like, she shouldn't be able to get up from that. She's not superpowered or anything. She should not be able to get up from that. That's what killed Willem Dafoe originally, and he was also superhuman. She should not be getting up. She said that line, I'm like, she's going to fall. Then she falls. Really fucking devastating scene. Fucking devastating. Oh my gosh. Because Marissa Tomei, I'm just saying, ever since My Cousin Vinny, Marissa Tomei. So she dies. And boy, oh boy, that's the perfect time because Spider-Man, Tom Holland, we'll just say Tom Holland, is at his lowest. And then you have the two new Spider-Men coming in, or the two old Spider-Men. And man, their interactions together are just like, I'm just like, ooh. Just anytime they interact together. And there are several scenes where all three of the Spider-Men are together. Like, quite a few scenes. And then not only that, at the very end, you have... One thing I don't like is they do kind of shit on Doctor Strange a little bit, which, as of watching this, I have seen Doctor Strange 2, which also kind of shits all over Doctor Strange. So, I mean, Doctor Strange was like a really big power play. And then these two movies kind of shit on him a little bit. I don't like that. But it's at least in Spider-Man, they can shit on Doctor Strange because it's not a Doctor Strange movie. You know, we will definitely get into Doctor Strange 2 if we do this for a 2022 year in review or whatever. We'll definitely be talking about that and definitely be talking about Halloween Ends. But that's neither here nor there. Wow. At the very end, you have Tom Holland fighting Green Goblin. He picks up the glider and goes to fucking stab Green Goblin. I'm like, oh my God. Tobey Maguire stops him, right? Just gives him that look like, come on now, buddy. Come on now, buddy. Sets the glider down. You have Willem Dafoe stab him. You have Willem Dafoe stab Tobey Maguire. I'm telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, I jumped up in my seat. I'm like, what? No! I literally jumped out of my seat. Oh my God. See, this is one of those movies, just like Avengers Endgame, and just like Dragon Ball Super Brawly, it was an experience to watch it in the theater. It truly was, because I wasn't the only one that did that. Everybody in the theater collectively was like, motherfucker. Fucking stabs the shit out of him. I thought he died. Spoiler alert, he doesn't die. But still, that was kind of mean that they did that. They knew what they were doing. If Andrew Garfield got stabbed, you know, we wouldn't have been that upset. We wouldn't have been as upset. But the one thing that surprises me the most out of this movie is the most emotional scene for me in a movie with Tom Holland Spider-Man, with Willem Dafoe, with Tobey Maguire returning, my favorite Spider-Man, returning as Spider-Man. Somehow, my favorite scene in this fucking movie is when MJ falls and it's Andrew Garfield that comes in and makes the save. And then he catches her and he looks, he's like, are you all right? She's like, yeah, I'm okay. And she looks at him and you just, one of the best pieces, like, Andrew Garfield's a phenomenal actor. Like, don't forget, guys, Andrew Garfield is a fucking phenomenal actor. His face says it all. I almost get a little choked up just thinking about it, man, because the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, I love that they had the balls to kill Gwen Stacy like that. And then in this movie, he even mentions how that really fucked him up. That really fucked him up that he wasn't able to save his girlfriend. And so he saves MJ. And just that interaction, he's like, "Are you okay?" And then she asked him, like, "Are you okay?" I just wanted to give this man a fucking hug. I wanted to jump in this fucking movie, like, just give him a hug. Like, it's gonna be all right, man. It's gonna be all right. That is one of the most emotionally charged, phenomenal fucking scene. Phenomenal fucking scene. So you have that. You have Tobey Maguire getting stabbed, making me jump out of my fucking seat. You have the initial heel turn of Willem Dafoe, by the way, the Green Goblin, when he initially turns. Great! Him and Tom Holland are fighting, and they're just beating the shit out of each other. We've been talking about choreography a lot. Their fight where they're just fucking demolishing this fucking building. Holy shit. It's an action scene where you're just like, holy shit. Wow. MFing Spidey. I've seen it several times since it's come out, and dude, I just love, I haven't seen it in a minute, but I love it more and more every time I watch it. The memes that they do in this movie, like, they knew what they were doing. You have Willem Dafoe saying, "No, I'm something of a scientist myself." It was great. It was fucking great. So, yeah, I really do think that not only is MF and Spidey the movie of the year for 2021, one of its top 3 of MCU movies of all time. I don't know. Avengers Endgame had a lot of build up to it. Avengers Endgame and MF and Spidey are top 2 best MCU films. Then probably Captain America Civil War. But even then, those 3 movies, my top 3 MCU movies, probably in my top 10, pretty high up there in my top 10 of comic book movies, probably movies in general. Phenomenal fucking movies. If I had to pick the shittiest movie out of this list, because MF and Spidey's takes the cake for 2021. If you asked me before I had seen it, I'd be like, well, it's not going to top Zack Snyder's Justice League. It does. It does. I do love both films in their own way, for their own reasons or whatever. But you just can't top MF and Spidey. You really just can't top this movie. And I don't know. I don't know if I had to shit on any one of these movies, which one I would shit on the hardest. There's probably a couple I did shit on. I'll just say Eternals or Nobody, because I really just wasn't vibing a whole lot with either one of those films. But almost all these other films, at least in one way or another, I actually really dug. I can't even say that. There are still things about Nobody and Eternals that I liked, but people like a best and people like a worse. So if I had to say it, there it is. That is it for the movie review. Guys, you made it all the way through. I cannot believe you made it to the end of this video. Cheers. Guys, I did a 23andMe or whatever. Found out I'm mostly Scottish. So I've been trying to say Slanjiva. Oh. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much for watching this video where it looks like we're at $1.23 right now. Holy shit. Look at all that meat. All right, so now that we've made it to the end of the video, I didn't want to start the video with saying a whole lot, and I've probably already said this once or twice, but the main reason I wanted to do this video is in my prior YouTube videos, I had said I was going to do a review for the Suicide Squad and do a review for MK Battle of the Realms. And I hadn't done that yet. I had tried to record this exact video, several times already. 3 of them, my mic was muted. I got done through the whole recording, and then I looked, and my mic was muted. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And then, what was the first one? I just didn't like how I did the first one, honestly. But But, you know, I'm thinking about coming back and doing some more YouTube videos. I just knew that there was a lot of catch-up work that I had to do. So, yeah, man. Yeah, man. A lot of catch-up work. So, the first time I recorded this video, I believe was in February. I believe the first time I tried to record this video was in February. And it's October. So, this is definitely something that's been on my mind for a while. Something that's been kind of eating away at me. Something I just really wanted to do. Sometimes you just got to finish your plate. You know what? Are you a big fan of lima beans? No, not really. But you got to finish your plate. You know what I mean? Another big thing is I didn't want to edit this, because that's another thing that really drives me away from making these. It's like, man, I just don't want to sit here and fucking edit this. I'll probably try and add little words, like if I contradict myself or if I say a lot. I like to make fun of myself a little bit at the bottom of the screen with like little text or whatever. But beyond that, I don't believe I'm going to try and do no cuts. I've said specifically how long this video is at several points. We're at 125 right now, about to be 126. We're at 125:45. So that's how long it is. So you'll know if I made a cut or not. So beyond that, I still like to censor the fucks I say. I don't like having fuck. You know what? Fuck it. It might be fine. I don't know. I don't know what we'll do. We will do some post work on this, but not a whole lot. But guys, again, if you're making it to the end of the video, I really appreciate it. We're just kind of rambling on. I just can't believe I actually did it. I'm looking. The mic is working. We're still recording. We did it. Guys, we actually fucking did it. Something I've been wanting to do and been meaning to do for a long time. We actually did it. Did I do this when I initially wanted to? Or as quickly as I wanted to? Or as well as I would have liked to? Probably not. There's probably a lot of shit I probably forgot to say. This is probably not the greatest. Not the greatest version of this that I've already recorded. Problem is I can't fucking hear myself, you know, when I'm doing the other one. So, you know, we just kind of had to send it. When it comes to content creation in general, I'm kind of just all over the place. Some days I want to just do Twitch. Some days I just want to do TikTok. And then sometimes I'm getting a hankering for YouTube. And the biggest thing for me diving back into YouTube is I needed to talk about the Suicide Squad and MK Battle of the Realms. I had to do that. And now that we've done it, who knows what the future holds? I'm not going to say anything about I'm wanting to do this or I'm going to do this. There's a couple ideas that I have. Maybe I'll do them. Maybe I won't. But I hope to see you guys there if I do. And, you know, I'm kind of stumbling on how to end this video. Guys, much love. Until next time. Oh, hold on. Before you go. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on TikTok, Twitch, and fucking YouTube. And is there anything else? I do have a Twitter that I shitpost on and share funny memes and stuff and say when I'm going live or have a new YouTube video drop in or some shit. But anyway, until next time, guys, wherever I see you next, have a great time until then. Deuces.